rebates coming off the top. Let's see if you guys can figure this out. This is kind of our start question today. I'll give you a couple minutes. Again, calculators are in the back.
Fred, that's definitely not your notebook.
I want to see if you guys are kind of paying attention the last couple days in here when we were discussing some of this. Can we get this written correctly? Can we at least find out the final answer here?
Jesus, a black guy.
What?
Jesus, Asian.
Oh, shoot. What? What?
Jeez, why are you so Asian? You should go.
You should.
Ching Chong. Ching Chong.
Stop. Who is? In the work.
You had a cramp in his back, right?
All right. This is gonna be a lot of the problem that we're talking about today. Okay. Does anyone need a little more time? Okay. Let's talk about the rebate. So, Bergman, what were you saying about earlier?
They either give that to you in options, like floating,
Yep.
so they take it off the top.
Okay, we're taking this thing right off the top. Because some companies, they say in options and they just give you a bunch of free stuff. It's not really worth $1,500, but according to their website it is. So we're taking this $21,000 car and we're gonna subtract that rebate right off the top. Okay, so that's your first step. You gotta subtract that off to figure out that final number. Now when you do that, you can borrow from that. Think about 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 10 minus 1 is 9. So this is. So right now, with the rebate, that's a $19,500 car. Okay? Most people are gonna do that in their head. You're subtracting it off. That's with the rebate already included. Now, the trade-in value. Trade-in on a car is what the car is worth. I always tell people, like, if you're gonna go look at a car, you wanna trade in your car when the depreciation is finally stopped. Because cars do level off. They'll be eventually worth a certain amount of money after so many years. You want to trade in after that point because it's not worth anything more or less at any point. In theory, you always want to get rid of a car before it starts depreciating really hard. That's difficult because cars have different depreciation values and certain cars will be worth more money in the long run. So it's kind of hard, it's a weird number. But what you have to do is you have to take this $19,500 number, because that's with the rebate, and you have to subtract the $13,000, and this will be your final price on your car. So, if we subtract, always a bigger number on the top, you're actually only going to be paying $6,500 for that car. And that's what your loan would be on through the agreement, or what you have to pay in cash. That's kind of the ultimate goal of what you always want to do when you do a trade-in. You want to bring down that value as far as you can on the car so you don't have to take out as much money. It lowers your payments. And it saves you a bunch on taxes. Because if you want to pay like outright for that car, the taxes are going to kill you. So, getting down in value. Trading in is a good thing if you know you're not going to use both vehicles. Because you still have to register them. You still have to get insurance on them. You still have to put gas in them and maintain them. It's better to have less cars and more cars, unless you have the cash for that. Okay, questions on the rebate idea? Okay, now. There's this other idea that you want to try to sell your car. You want to sell your car for more money than what you owe on it. Okay, and that's if you're going to sell like outright on like Craigslist. Let's say you have an $8,400 car. You have an $8,400 car, and you want to go sell it on Craigslist. You need to market more than $8,400 if that's what you still owe on it. My rule. If you want to sell it for more than $8,400, add another $1,000 on the top of it. That way you have a little wiggle room in negotiation, So you can come down and be like, well, I'm not gonna offer you, 9,400, what if, will you take 9,000 even? Yeah, boom, done. So now you just made profit on the car. So let's say you sell it for 9,000. Now, this really comes down to the condition of the car and what is it worth in the real market. Don't try to fluff them like NADA says it's worth this. They're gonna go on Craigslist, they're gonna go on Auto Trader if they're a smart person and research what are the cars really selling for. That same model that you have, the same amount of mileage, the same options. Because if you go to those actual websites and go, okay, this car online is actually only trading for 7,600, you're in trouble. They're not gonna offer you 9,000, no one's gonna even call you on it. So what you're doing here is you're taking the bigger number and you're subtracting the smaller number. And so you're actually going to save yourself $600, or you're gonna make $600 profit in the long run if you actually sell it. Okay? Which you can use then for the next car or the next purchase. Maybe that's your down payment for the next car. Maybe that's what you wanna do. That's smart decisions, by the way. It's actually easier selling a car to private buyers than it is to go on a lot and try to trade it in, because private buyers will, in theory, pay you more money for a car. But you gotta be realistic. No one's gonna call you if you're marketing that thing way out of its price range. Because no one cares that it's a limited edition car. They wanna know if it runs and if it has low mileage. That's what it comes down to. And unless it's a special, like muscle car or something that's worth a ton of money, no one really cares what model it is. Okay, question?
What if it's more than what you're selling it for?
Okay, so let's say you sell the car for 7,600 and it's worth 8,400. You're losing money in the long run, and potentially you're in that sticky point where, let's say, you still owe 8,400, but the only thing that they could trade it in for, like you couldn't even sell it to anybody, but they'll take it as trade for 7,600. The difference here in this price is $800 in difference. If you actually subtract, that's $800. What that happens, if you sell it for less money than what you owe on it, this money gets added on to the next car that you're gonna purchase. So you're actually spending $800 more on the next car than what you should have. Some dealerships will just offer you, like if it's a little bit, they'll kind of say, hey, we'll pay $8,400, but they're not gonna negotiate really hard on the next price. Because again, you can haggle the price of cars. Like, they say the car's worth $13,000 a lot, you could probably get them down to maybe 12, close to it. There's a little bit of wiggle room. Well, that's where they'll eat that out. They'll be like, well, we're not gonna wiggle. That car's 13, we're gonna sell it to you for 13, will you buy it? Well, they just made their $800 back. That's what they're doing. But they just lost. So, okay, do we understand the concept of like buying and selling concepts and how you can save money? Now, there's a difference in taking a rebate on a car versus actually doing a discount. So like a rebate is where they're going to take money off the top or give you options, as opposed to just a discount. Some dealerships around this area are very good. Like they have promotional days on holidays. That's a really good time to buy a car, because they'll say like every car is $1,500 off this week. For this Memorial Day celebration. That's a good time to go buy, especially if you've been keeping track of the market and you've been watching that one truck, and it literally is $1,500 cheaper. You may not find a better deal. They may not negotiate that much for you. That might be something you need to think about. Okay? The book really doesn't talk about too much about rebates and whatnot. They can talk about trade-in values. One of the things you need to worry about, I don't know if I talked about this yesterday. If you have a dealership that says we guarantee you $3,000 on the trade-in, like no matter what car you bring in, as long as you can drive it on its own, like we guarantee you $3,000 for your next trade-in, that's something you need to be really cautious of. Because the minimum trade-in value for your car, sometimes they don't do that. They won't pay you $3,000 because they're going to add that price back to the car somehow that you're buying. So just be careful of that. You need to be super cautious. You need to know exactly the price of the car that you're going to go buy. Then you can talk to them later that you're going to do a trade-in. You don't need to hide the fact, but if you're interested in a car, you need to know what the price is before you actually get the trade-in, because they might do that sneaky thing where they add in like how much money they're going to lose on your trade-in to the actual car. So you need to know the price of the car beforehand. It's just a little shifty tactic. Sometimes, like you can do a rebate or you can do a trade-in value. like where they'll give you a certain minimum. Well, it might be one or the other. Like maybe they only offer the rebate if you buy it outright in cash. That may be something you have to think about. Most companies don't do that, but it could be. It's just one of those weird things, okay? All right, the last thing, I wanna talk about payments. There is a formula to do payments, we did it a long time ago, but I wanna discuss it right now, just so you get a sense for this. Let's imagine that your car payment is $235 a month. Okay, somehow that's what they calculated, okay? They calculated it to be $235 a month. If you're gonna pay it for, let's say, 48 months, well then that means that you need to calculate how much you're gonna actually pay for that car. This is something a lot of kids don't do when they first go buy their first car. This is how they trick you. This is the number one thing that dealerships will do to see if you're really paying attention and you know how to do your math. Take 48 times 235, and that's the real price what you're paying for a car. And that's with all the taxes and everything added in. Because they can do some weird stuff in your problem where you agreed to pay, $13,000 for a car, but they change the amount of months and they make all that money back. So like for instance, 48 months times 235, this is an $11,000 car, right? But let's say you agreed that the price was supposed to be 9, and they didn't know that you're going to kind of pay attention to those numbers. They threw out a bunch of things at you to try to trick you, get you to sign papers. You need to do this calculation to see, does that even make sense? Because one of the things that's affecting this price is your final price. Sales tax in your state, 7% sales tax in Iowa, it's kind of steep on a car. You have to do registering and get the title. They add that to the price. They have sometimes they do some weird other bills on the actual purchase agreement. Like they'll say they're going to do rust coating. It's a hint that they're surcharging you extra. They're not doing anything with rust. Like little things in the back. If they say they're detailing, they're giving you clear coat on the interior seats. Like they're doing a clear coat on the seats. There is companies that do that. No companies around here do that. I'm just letting you know they're ripping you off of something.
Can you see me?
You can tell that you don't need those options. If they say that they always do it, then you don't need to pay for it if you always do it. It's one of those things you need to keep track of that. Now, the problem that you're going to have, they're going to give you a price on a car. Let's say the price of your car is $3,197. Let's say that you're going to buy your first car. That's a pretty reasonable car for a high school kid. That's probably the market you want to be in. You don't want to go super expensive. Just buy cheaper than this. Your first car, it's got to have something with character. Okay, you got a down payment. So if you're going to pay a down payment on that car, maybe you're going to put, like Dyer did a week or two ago, put say $500 down.
600.
600. Okay. Yeah. Just put something down. That's good. You're going to save money in the long run. Do it. Okay. It may only save you a couple $100. That's not a bad thing. Save you money.
I wish I did more, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I had more after, but I didn't know I would.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's good to put big money down. It saves you a lot more in the long run. And then the idea is you have monthly payments. Monthly payment. Let's say your monthly payments for this vehicle is going to be $170. And you need to pay it in, let's say 60 months. Okay? Well, this is the idea that you need to figure out the deferred price, like what is the actual price of the car after you do your down payment, and does this actually add up to be the right price? Because this will tell you like what your taxes are versus what you're actually agreeing to the price of the car that you're purchasing. Okay, it's a deferred price kind of a thing. Okay? All right.
I wear the dailies.
All right. So now, so if you have, so in the book, this is what they say to do. First thing you need to do, multiply these numbers together to figure out how much you're paying. So if you're going 60 months at $170, you're paying so much for that car, okay? Okay, so 170 times 60, say it again?
10,200.
10,200. Right there alone, you're paying way more for that car than what it's worth, okay? So the idea is that like
So that's $3,100.
$3,100 for that car. This is what they try to rip you off at. Now they're saying like $170, that's not a bad payment for 6 months.
That's what I pay for 6 months.
Yeah,
I have 190, my truck is $9,400.
yeah, that's about right. That's about right for, for a $9,000 truck, right?
Yeah.
That's about right. The car was supposed to be worth 30,
Yeah.
like 3,000. This is how they trick you.
That's ridiculous.
They try to rip you off this way because they're like, that's not bad. You can afford $170 payment, 60 months. Yeah, because you can see the difference here. You can see how they're trying to rip you off on that. All right, now, if you want to add your down payment or subtract the down payment, the idea is that you can add this down payment to this thing because what this is going to give you. You add your down payment to the extra money that you actually purchased the car at. So this is going to be $10,700. This is actually the cash you're paying total for that car. If that makes sense to you, that you're paying 60 months at $170 plus the extra money you put a down payment on. And then what you do is this is what they call the deferred price. What deferred price is, this is the actual price of the car that you're actually paying. This is the thing I warned you of, that they try to do fishy stuff with numbers to try to get you to pay more money for a car than it's what it's worth. You're seeing it right here. If you want to see like the legitimate difference in price, you subtract and that's how much money they're trying to take from you. Okay, they should be close. There's might be $1,000 off because of interest. Okay, but when it's off by $7 grand, I have a problem with that. Okay, they're trying to get you on that.
If you do 12 months, 240.
Yeah.
More.
So
If you have like a payment of 170, you should be able to pay that car off in 18 months.
Yeah, 18 months.
Not 60.
Not 60. This, no joke. Dealerships will try to pull that on you. They'll say, hey, okay, what kind of payment do you want? Okay, well, we can get you to the $300 payment. You're going to have to pay for like 72 months. If you do the math, you actually multiply that, you're paying way more than that car is worth. And then they'll try to give you some, like, if you actually do the calculation in front of them, then they get all nervous and they try to backtrack and they try to talk to you what they're doing. They're not. You need to agree to a price, then do the monthly payments after that. Add the taxes in, and then figure out what your months are gonna be and what the payments are gonna be. Don't let them make up a number on you and how many months you're gonna go, because that's not adding up to what the price of the car is.
I honestly.
No,
Sounds about right.
I know that it was a tactic that they tried to pull a lot in the early 2000s, 90s, and then a lot of car companies got sued for price gouging, basically, and for they called it it was called, what was the name of it? It is bait and switch. It's a bait and switch tactic where you agree to a price, you walk inside, they tell you numbers, and then you sign your thing, they send you on your way, they switch the price on you in the middle of the problem, and you didn't even see it. A lot of car companies try that as a nasty sales tactic. Remember, don't go off the months like, oh yeah, that's great, I can afford that per month. You need to think about what was the price of the car. Like, that was your car, they're trying to fool you with this stuff. That's called a deferred price, what you're actually paying for the car in the long run. They should be close, okay? All right, questions at all? Okay, here's your homework today. Okay, here's your homework. This is gonna be due on Thursday. Due Thursday. Okay, I'll put it over there in a minute. So due Thursday, remember, if you have not turned in that worksheet 5-1 that we had the other day, you need to get that one turned in. Okay, here it is, page 114, 1 through 6, exercise A.
114.
Yep. 1 through 3, exercise B. 1 through 4, exercise C. 117, 1 through 4, exercise A. All right, now let me explain. This first one is all about figuring out the rebate idea, figuring out rebates versus trade-in value, so you can see what the numbers are gonna be. These will have you work on finding sales prices. And then this last one is that last problem where they want you to find the deferred price. Look at your monthly payments, look at how much you put it down, just figure out what was the real cost of the car. That whole 3,000 number in the front, the whole 3,000 number in the front was to try to throw you off. Okay? Here's your problem. This will not take you very long. It's using a calculator, doing a couple simple numbers. Use the example in your book to help you out if you didn't understand what we talked about today. I'm gonna leave that on the board.
Can I go back to the book?
Yes.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes, wait till
I'll
he gets back.
I'll go get a piece of that train rail.